Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Rich Woman Rising podcast. I'm your host, Eloise Tomkins, and I'm a money coach and psychologist, and I help women to shift their relationship with money through regulating their nervous system. And I want to share today a situation that actually happened recently where, oh my goodness, and it's probably happened to you many times as well, because let's face it, we go into business and there are so many people in this world, and a lot of people are really nice people. And then you get people who are, I don't want to say not nice, but they've got their own biases, right? And well, we all have our own biases. And we all come into the world with our own biases, and then we project them onto other people. And that is just what it is. Like, that's how the world rolls. We all have our own unique filter. And interestingly, I was talking to someone about our filter the other day. I was having, because I'm a psychologist, I still partake in supervision. I still um, continue my education and my learning essentially. And I was talking with someone the other day, and we were talking about the idea of this filter. And she described it in this really cool way that I'd never thought of before. But now I'm going to pinch it off her, which I told her because it was brilliant. But she was explaining that, like a filter, we all have our filter, and it's like a kaleidoscope. And we've got this kaleidoscope that we're kind of looking at the world through. And that influences how we receive the information. Now, the person next to you, they've got their own kaleidoscope that they're looking through. And so they've still got the same world or the same information coming in, but it's going to hit them differently. They're going to perceive it differently. And so are you at any other given point in time, because, you shift a kaleidoscope around and it changes a little, right? So I thought that was just a really cool analogy to kind of help understand that we all have that, and that's how we view the world around us. Now, I share this because I'm super aware that the way I see the world is not how other people are going to see the world. And that's okay. Well, when it comes to certain things, I guess. But we're not all going to share the same values. We're not all going to share the same beliefs. We're not all going to share the same ideas and things that are important to us. And that's okay. That's what makes the world go around. But what can also happen, particularly for women who have been so conditioned to think that other people's opinions are the be all and end all, because other people's needs, beliefs, wants are more important than our own. That's been so heavily conditioned into us. We hold on to what other people say and think and try and make our kaleidoscope fit theirs. And so we're constantly trying to maneuver our kaleidoscope so that it matches their perception. And that just leaves us feeling really burnt out and exhausted, because we're constantly like changing ourselves for other people. And I was reminded of this when I logged onto my YouTube channel. So for those of you who don't know, I have a YouTube channel, and I post the podcast recordings on there, and some YouTube shorts on the podcast on the YouTube channel at the moment. And I had someone comment on a recent video that I'd posted where I swore. And if you're listening to my podcast, you know that I swear sometimes. And I don't shy away from it. And I'll go into why shortly. But the comment from the person was something along the lines of, swearing is unprofessional. You shouldn't do that. And I want to be able to see your YouTube channel grow. On the surface, that sounds nice. They're caring. They want to help, right? I laughed, not because it was funny, not like the ha ha kind of funny, but because it was just classic fucking textbook of somebody who waltzes along, watches this 60-second clip of me, and has no idea who I am, what I'm about, what my mission is, who I'm trying to speak to in my message. And they've come along and told me that no, they don't like me, essentially. And past me, unregulated me, would have died and would have been like, oh my God, I need to take this down immediately because I would have felt so much shame. I would have been like, oh my God, someone has seen me and criticized me. I would have wanted to pull the video down. And then I would have been ruminating and thinking, oh my gosh, are they right? Like, should I not have posted that? Should I not swear? Should I stop swearing? And look, I'm not going to lie, it's not the first time that somebody has commented on my swearing. And that could make me turn around and think, should I stop swearing? And that is one potential scenario, right? But the thing is, being regulated helps me to anchor into who I am, who Eloise is, what my mission is. And sure, I want to help a lot of women. I want to help a lot of women with their relationship with money by regulating their nervous system and rewiring themselves for wealth. And part of the reason that I swear is because I'm tired of being told to dull down my own voice. And I've been told to dull down my own voice for the longest time since childhood. And no, I'm not going to dull it down anymore for anyone. And if people don't vibe with that, then you know what? That's okay. No hard feelings. We're just not for each other. And you know what? That's okay. Like, I was having this conversation with a client recently where it's okay if someone doesn't vibe with you, if someone doesn't like you, if someone has a different opinion of you. And it can feel really uncomfortable because we have been conditioned to want people to like us. Like, we hold a lot of our worth on whether people like us because it's been conditioned from a very young age. Be a good girl, do the right thing, do the thing that you don't want to do because it's more important that the other person is comfortable. And so from that, we learn it's more important that people like me than being authentic. But authenticity is one of my biggest values, one of my biggest. And that is why I show up online and I swear. And I'm not perfect. I never claim that I'm perfect, and I don't want to be perfect. And I don't want to attract everyone into my world. Like, how fucking boring would that be? And I would attract the wrong clients. I would attract the people who want this super polished, super perfect version of me that doesn't exist, that doesn't exist for anyone. And no, it's not me. And I can stay anchored in that because of regulation. And that means that when comments like that come, they don't hit hard. It's like water off a duck's back, which is a really nice feeling. And it might not sound like that now because I'm talking about it. So it's and I'm kind of mindful of that. But like, I think it's a thing. Like, I think it's just this interesting reflection that I've had that past me would have absolutely have been triggered by that and had all of these really strong emotions. And, current me is just like, that's really interesting. Thanks for your feedback. Great to know that we're not a good fit. Have a good day. And I wanted to share that with you because I know that this is something that people really struggle with. And like, I want you to think about where it came from for you. Because for me, I remember when I was a kid, I, as kids, we didn't have a lot of control growing up. And what I mean by that, and again, I was talking with a client about this just recently. We didn't have a lot of control. We were in the school system, then we came home, and our parents decided what food we had in the house, and maybe we had a little bit of choice over it, but we didn't have a heck of a lot of control. We were kind of at the mercy of just, other people. And so we try and find little snippets of control wherever we could. And for me, that was my voice and swearing because I didn't feel like there was a lot of other control that I could have in my life. And so I remember when I was a child, I don't know where I heard it, but there was this saying that would go around. Bloody's in the Bible, bloody's in the book. If you don't bloody believe me, take a bloody good look. And so when I was a kid, I would say words, like not even bad swear words. They weren't even swear words. It was like bloody hell. And my dad would be like, don't say that. And my little brain was like, ooh. that sparked a reaction. Interesting. And so I would say it. Don't say it. I'm like, well, you can't control what comes out of my mouth. And, it's in the Bible. Have a look. I'm not religious at all, but, that saying just made me connect with it. And I liked it. I'm like, well, that's something that you can't control. And then over the years, as I got older and then as I turned 18, I would continue to swear and Dad would hate it. And because I hadn't felt like there was a lot of control, it was something that made me feel good. Like I had control, I had my voice. And maybe that's not the best reason to swear. And, that's a reflection that I can take and I have. And I've decided, fuck it. I want to swear because for me, it feels authentic. Again, not for everyone. That's okay. Totally get it. We each have our own values and beliefs. Again, it's okay. But for me, it doesn't faze me. I don't really care when people swear. And when I do hear people swear, I kind of think, what is that activating in me? What is that bringing up? What meaning am I making of that? Why am I like, why do I think it's okay for me to say certain things, but not for others? So for me, it's become a really reflective piece, but it's not about the swearing, right? It's about the meaning that we make of it and all of the beliefs that we put onto it. And for me, it was about taking back my own control, using my own voice, taking back my power in the only way that I could as a child, which has continued into my adulthood, right? Because we know that childhood patterns continue when we're an adult. So here we are. And whether, it's the right thing to do or not, it is what it is. And this is the path that I'm choosing for myself. And that means that because I'm making these choices, because this is how my authenticity comes out, this is real for me. And so it's not about the swearing though. It's goes deeper than that because if I stopped for what other people wanted me to do, and when you stop speaking your truth, whether it's swearing or whether it's not saying the price or whether you're listening to Uncle Frank at Christmas dinner, continuing to harp on about whether you've got a partner now or you've gained some weight or what else do they talk about? Racist comments, whatever it is, we just have this tendency to sit politely and listen because we're like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. But when we do that, we're censoring ourselves. And it comes down to, I think, this desire to want to be polished, to not rock the boat, to be likable. And we think that kind of hiding our true selves is the only way to stay safe and, unsuccessful. Oh my God, to stay successful. Gosh, that was a Freudian slip. But that's kind of why I see how we diminish our voices, and we do it in so many ways. But what actually happens when we do not use our voice to its full power is we burn out because we're trying to do all of the right things, but we don't actually know what's right because that kaleidoscope, it's different for everyone. And we become just overloaded because we are running on all of this adrenaline because we're trying to just not do the wrong thing. And we then filter ourselves and try and be a professional. And it's interesting. I actually had a conversation with someone recently who reached out to me and she was like, oh my gosh, like I love that you show up so I can't speak today, authentically. I was trying to say, I was floating between authenticity and authentically. And when your brain just struggles with a word, I just had one of those brain glitch moments. But she was like, wow, I'm so impressed by that. She's like, I still feel like I filter myself. And I'm like, yeah, because we filter ourselves so much. And we have so much value in what we have to say. And I really want you to be able to stand up, speak, and share your soul purpose, which is going to offend people. It is going to annoy people. It is going to upset people. It is going to rock some people's boats. It's going to throw their kaleidoscope out of the whack. They're not going to like what you're saying. And that's okay because underneath all of that, we hold a lot of shame because we just want so badly to fit in, to be liked, to be accepted. And when we're not, when we go against that and try to be ourselves, we're not used to it. And we need to untangle it so that because when you do use your voice, it helps you make more money. It helps you run a business that feels aligned for you. It helps you attract the right type of clients in. Like, it just has so much power. And I think we underestimate that. And it's also hard to do. Like, it's really hard to kind of stand up and use your voice. I remember actually a couple of years back, I was at a dinner with a friend and their mother, and um, their mother was talking about, gosh, I can't even remember. I just kind of remember the gist. She kept referring to the person that we were talking about, who wasn't with us. It was like some random person, and she kept referring to the person as their ethnicity. And I was getting really irritated because that had no impact on the story. And I'm like, why do you keep raising that person's ethnicity? Like, why is that so important for the conversation? Like, does it matter? It really doesn't matter. And to me, it was coming across as like a racist comment. And past me would have just sat there and smiled and nodded and felt really uncomfortable with it. Present me was like, I just don't understand what her ethnicity has to do with the conversation that we're having right now. And that was all I said. I was just curious. Like, it came from a place of genuine curiosity because I was curious. I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm misinterpreting the comments. Maybe there's some more meaning. And she immediately shut down. And it was really interesting. Like, she stopped talking about that person. She stopped mentioning their ethnicity. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. Because when we call people out on their comments and on their behavior, it shines a mirror up to them in terms of, oh, why am I doing this? And we need to actually have more regulation within ourselves to be able to have those types of conversations. And when we're regulated, we can have more resilience for those situations that occur. So regulation is resilience. And then we can start making change in the world by calling out like uncomfortable behaviors, right? Another example that I was talking with someone, I think I saw a post on LinkedIn and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so relevant, where they went to, I don't know, I think it was some networking event. They rocked up and somebody at the end said, oh, how did you find it? And they were like, well, it wasn't what I expected. And even though the person who asked that comment wasn't even the host, they got so offended that this person had said, oh, I didn't have a good time. And, the person who said I didn't have a good time was just like, why does this impact you so much? You're not even the host. Like, this has nothing to do with you. And it just shows that even as women, we don't feel comfortable when other women, people, share their truths. We feel uncomfortable with it. So it's this multi-layered experience that we have. So if we don't feel comfortable when other people share our truths, we don't feel comfortable sharing our truths. We've got women who are just feeling very uncomfortable with vulnerability and emotions. And that comes from a place because we haven't been modeled how to do that. We've been modeled just to be polite, just to be nice, just to be the good girl. And so we try to be that. But then underneath all of that, what exists? Shame, resentment, because we can't match up to these expectations that aren't even ours. Shame, resentment for seeing other women who are able to assert themselves, set boundaries, and also resentment at the fact that they can't do that themselves. But these are skills that can be learnt. And a foundational piece for that is being able to regulate your nervous system so that instead of having someone put a comment on your social media posts that leaves you feeling rattled and then spending the entire day going, oh my God, should I have done that? Said that, posted that? You can go, huh, Interesting. That's not mine to carry and let it go. And that is the work that I do. That is absolutely the work that I do. And it's such important work. And this is why I say that the real strategy behind wealth is regulation. Because you can have money coming in, but if your nervous system, if you're not regulated, then and it might not, maybe for you, it's not a comment on social media. Maybe, maybe this isn't something that'll rock your boat, but there are going to be things that rock your boat. There are still things that rock mine. And I have been doing this work, like personally and, helping clients professionally. But there are still things we're still going to get activated. Of course we are. Like we're human. But being aware of it and knowing what your activators are is really important and powerful. And, I also see this a lot I feel like I give thousands of examples, but I remember like networking events where um, people would ask a question and somebody would give advice and that person would gobble it up, like, oh my goodness, yes, you know the answer. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Do they? Do they know the depth of you and your brand and who you are and your values and what you stand for? No. And I think that the antidote is being able to trust yourselves in spite of all of the criticism that we are just inevitably going to get for existing as a human. And it would be nice to say, well, people shouldn't criticize. And you know what? Maybe they shouldn't. But people are going to have different opinions and beliefs. And I think part of it is us being able to hold our own anchor when things in life happen that feel a little bit wobbly, because when we can do that, my gosh, everything shifts and things will still happen, but our sense of worth, our sense of stability, our sense of knowing, that's all gonna still stay strong. So, and if you're feeling cold, if you're hearing this and thinking, oh my goodness, like I want to be able to anchor into my worth, I want to be able to stand strong in my voice, I want to be able to um, have my nervous system feel really strong and strengthened. I don't know if that's the right word. Um, Reach out. I do one-on-one coaching, and I have spots in my expansion program that can really help you to work through this. That's going to leave you feeling like you can tackle these comments because you don't care. They don't bother you. You can let them go because people will say shit and you will not be phased. And I love, 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 love doing that work. So yeah, reach out if you're interested in learning more. No obligations, but just to have a bit of a chat about how this work might be able to support you in your business. But on that note, I'm going to go and I'm going to go reflect more on that comment and post on my socials because I just thought it was fucking hilarious. And I will look forward to seeing you all again on the podcast next week. Until then, hope you have a brilliant week and I'll chat to you soon.